Hi, Sandy.
Hi there.
Hi. Well, no
Oh,
one's no one's joined us yet. Sorry about that stuff up. I'll know
that's
next.
okay.
I'll know next time. It's been a while since I had somebody else on here with me.
Ah, I see. Yeah,
Yes,
no, it's that's okay. Just it's useful to know that for the future. It's the
yes.
easiest way to get people onto a Hangout is just to send them to the top URL.
So if you, I'm just watching. No one's joined us yet. Oh, I'm broadcasting. Okay, okay. We
Oh, we're
better.
live.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay. So we'll start now, and
Okay.
sorry about that. Sorry, didn't realize we're live. Okay. So this is Helen Lingard here, coming to you from a dark and cold winter morning, and Sandy's there in France on a hot summer's day.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been following Sandy for a while. I saw one of your videos um, that you did. It must have been in Miami, where you were in tears. You were doing a video and you were in tears. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was actually in Denver in Colorado. Um,
Oh, God, Denver.
yeah,
And
it was.
I was just blown away, you really resonated with me because I'm always constantly amazed by gorgeous women who have low self-esteem. And I, like you, in fact, until very recently, and obviously you don't have low self-esteem anymore, but it just really resonated with me. And I've watched you since, and I've just watched you do tons of videos, and you're just so inspiring. And also the thing I connect with Sandy is because, and I'd love to ask you this, is Sandy is a, I'm not sure it goes French, Brit, and I'm a British Kiwi who's living in New Zealand. And so we have that in common. We kind of living away. And I'd love to know, Sandy, how long did you live in the UK for? Because you have a very English accent.
I grew up there, so I lived there for 27 years, and then I moved to France. So I grew up in the
Oh,
UK. Yeah. Um, and maybe we should tell people what we're going to cover, like what in the Hangouts.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I wanted
Yeah.
to talk to Sandy about basically what attracted you to this business. We're both in the same business in Power Network, and I wanted to know what attracted you to this business.
Okay. But I mean like just so the people who don't really know, because some people might not know who I am. I'm presuming that
Oh, sure. Well,
follow
introduce
you.
yourself, Sandy. Introduce yourself. That's fine. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. um. Okay. Well, started learning on internet marketing 18 months ago, and uh, I've just slowly been building up my business, and in the last 6 months, have really seen a big increase in everything I'm doing. Have built a team of around 20 people, and I thought that wasn't very much, but then I realized that the average is like less than two people. So I was like, oh, it's still 10 times higher than average. And I had my biggest month online last month, making just under $5,000 in sales in a month, and most of that was in a week actually. So it was like it kind of blew my reality because I hadn't had those kinds of results before, and so I really strongly believe that if you have any kind of desire to make the world a different place, there are so many people living in a way that they don't enjoy, doing jobs they don't like, feeling trapped, like they're constantly racing against time, and just not really, you know, just I call it quiet desperation, like people who just don't seem to really be living very much. And I grew up around that kind of energy, and I just think you can really do what Gandhi said, become the change, and become the change that you want to see. If you want to see more young people happy and like not, going into jobs they don't like, which I had to watch with my own eyes as younger people than me and my family started to do that. And that really broke my heart. I was like, these like a 19-year-old boy that's telling me he hates his life and he hates Sundays because Monday he's going to work. I think we have a crazy system, and that every one of us that's going for our dream of having an online business you can look at it one way, like it's just a business, or you can look at it like it's a business that can inspire other people to actually realize something else is possible. And so I'm honored to be interviewed by you, Helen, just to share some of the things that helped me go from being a complete newbie, a broke Zumba instructor, because I had no little internet experience. I had done a lot of campaigning and activism, but that was mostly offline, off the internet. And so I've just learned so much in the past 18 months. So.
Sure, sure. And what was it that attracted you to come to this business? What really got you interested?
Well, it was actually I remember feeling at the time just so tired and burnt out all the time, and pretty confused. Before, I'm talking about the period just before I joined Empower. I was working 6 days a week, living in a tiny studio with my dog, and I was doing a job that looks fun on the outside, but when you're doing it all the time, it gets very repetitive. And I remember feeling just like nothing was ever going to change, and I honestly couldn't see how I could change the situation, unless I just changed job completely or got an actual job. I was thinking about maybe I should actually just look for an office job, because I was always struggling as well, like as teaching Zumba classes, always just literally keeping my head above water. And I had a week where I just stayed in my house, turned off my phone, and I just finished my classes for the summer, so I had no classes. And I was so exhausted physically and mentally that I just stayed in my room for like a whole week, put my phone on airplane mode, and I didn't answer any calls. I just sort of stayed there, and I kept asking the universe over and over, what the hell should I do? I'm quite a young person. I feel like I've done a lot already, but I just don't seem to be really enjoying my life, and I was honestly thinking, well, what's the point of living if you're always struggling? Like literally always struggling. It just felt to me really pointless. And I remember saying to friends, I might as well just go and live on a farm, and because I'm working every day to make money, but the money's just funding my current lifestyle. It's not letting me do anything except have a roof over my head, have food in my fridge, just about, and pay my phone and electricity bills. That was it. And so I kept, and I also felt like I wasn't having any kind of impact in the world. And I had ever since I could remember, I'd always wanted to do that, which is what I had done, campaigning and activism for 10 years. And I stopped because I'd got ill, and that had led me to doing fitness and dance stuff, which I thought would be like a fun solution. But I didn't realize how repetitive it could get. So just to cut a long story short, I ended up getting the sense that I should do something that involved speaking. At the time, I thought it meant writing, like writing a book. And I remember thinking, well, how can I pay the rent with writing a book? That's not really going to work. And so I put the idea on the back burner. But I started, I had it in my mind. And then one night I was on Facebook, and one of my friends, I remember I had gone to bed, but I couldn't sleep because I was having trouble sleeping throughout this whole time. And so I went onto the internet and I looked at Facebook, and one of my friends had posted, I'm about to do a webinar. Come and join me. It's starting in 10 minutes. I'm doing it with a really good friend. And I thought, oh, what the hell? I can't sleep. Why don't I just watch this? So I did. And I honestly felt like the whole universe was talking to me through the whole webinar, because the friend who was the guest was sharing his story, a bit like I am sharing my story with everyone watching this now or in the future. And he was describing how he'd been in a rut. His girlfriend had broken up with him. He wasn't getting any jobs. He just finished college. He didn't really even know if he wanted to do any of the jobs he was applying for, but everyone was doing that. He had no money. He had moved back home, and he felt like his whole life was stagnating, and nothing was making him happy. And he realized he had to do something different, and that gave him an idea to make a video every day for a year of doing something new he'd never done before, to get him out of his comfort zone constantly. So he started making these videos, even though he'd never even made a video before. and he described on this webinar that and I remember sitting there in my flat, like sitting up straighter and straighter, and like listening more and more, getting more and more drawn into his story. And I was thinking, wow, this is so similar to how I feel. You know, I wasn't trying to apply for jobs or living up with my parents, but the energy was the same. It was this energy of stagnation and your hope slowly like just fading. And so and he described how through the process of video blogging, he'd made friends all over the world. He had got more confidence. He had started to do all kinds of crazy things, and magical experiences started happening, and he built up a whole tribe of people that loved what he was doing, loved his videos, and that felt more supportive than the friends he had around him in his town. And that was the key sentence. When he said that, I remember thinking, oh my God, that's what I want, because I felt really isolated, because I just felt like everyone around me was pretending everything was okay when it isn't. Even though I had a lot of friends, and I just didn't have any friends that seemed to really be openly looking for something different. And so when he said that, it just sparked something. And he said at the end, so I did these videos on YouTube, but now what I do is I publish my blogs onto a blogging platform, because it also allows me to make money. Because when I was doing this with YouTube, I didn't get any money from it, because it was just me putting it out there. And so I thought, well, I'll use this blogging platform. And so I joined, and I started to make a video every day, and initially just for 30 days, and then I just went on and on. I couldn't stop. I loved it, because the more videos I made.
What platform was this, Sandra? Sorry.
Go on.
You said you joined a blogging platform. Which one was that?
Empower Network blogging platform.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that was when I joined Empower, actually. This was about 18 months ago. Right. And so that's what attracted me. It was that the moment I was in at that time, which just felt like I was going nowhere, and the right information at the right time.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So you do your videos every day. Where do you put your videos?
A mixture of places. I put them on YouTube. I put them on Facebook. I upload them directly to Facebook now. I put them on my blog. I share the blog on different places. I learned how to do that through Empower Network. And so but my main place that I play, as you could say, on the internet is Facebook and YouTube.
Right. And do you do SEO on YouTube?
Sorry?
You do the SEO on YouTube?
Oh, I did do a lot. Now, yeah, I do 50-50. I do a mixture of videos for people that are looking for specific topics. Okay. And so I'll look at the keyword, and I'll make sure that the video is correctly tagged, like labeled, so that people can find it. But there's some videos I just make them for people who subscribe to my channel, because what I didn't say was that in the process of making a video every day, I went from having a few hundred views, not even that, I think. Like, I had literally like 30 subscribers on my YouTube channel, because I had set one up for my Zumba classes, and I went to now I've got nearly 200,000 views in less than 2 years, and just around 10,000 views a month on my main YouTube channel. I have 2 actually, and so it snowballed really quickly. People what I liked and what Abram had said that caught my attention. This is the friend who talked about this on the webinar, was how much you can inspire other people. Because he said, people would contact him and say, oh, thank you for this video, or thank you for that, really helped me. And that's happened to me on a weekly basis now for the past sort of 6 months, I'd say.
Wow, wow. And what do you do? You 2 separate video channels. So what do you do? What differentiates the video channels you've got?
Oh, well, one is more for non-businessy stuff, I guess you could say. Like oh, sorry, someone just dropped something wrong. I make videos about random acts of kindness. Like, I just made a new one today, so I just uploaded that. Videos about like conscious activists, I call it, people who are doing stuff to become the change they want to see in the world. And I have videos like that. I have on my main channel, and I used to. That's where I put all my. I call it money inspiration, because my friend who started the first video challenge, that he called it inspiration. So anyway, and then the second channel is more about internet marketing, how I actually like fund my lifestyle. You know, like the what I do on the internet.
Oh, cool, cool. And gosh, my distracted there. So, what other methods do you use other than video? You blog, obviously.
Yeah.
What marketing do you use?
What? Sorry.
What? Sorry. You do your videos and your blog. What other methods do you use of marketing?
Oh, okay. I do Facebook advertising. I have an email list. I write to my subscribers. I do hangouts like this.
Yes, your hangouts are great.
Sorry?
Your hangouts are great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do a lot of them now because I actually didn't start it for my business. I even say in the hangout, you know, you can't talk about a business, or you can't like try to sell anything. I started it more as an educational book group. It's really geeky, but I kept hearing about a guy who'd done the same thing but with a phone call, like a daily call about a book that I love, Think and Grow Rich. And I kept having this idea of I could do something like that, but on Google, like a modern version, you know, like on Hangouts for European people, because I could never really make that one because it was at American times, and I'm in France. So I just got the idea, well, why don't I do one? And so Monday to Friday, there's quite a lot of people that watch the replay. Not so many people can come on the actual live hangout for now, but I think that's going to change over time. The group's it's got like over 120 people, and it started out with just me about 3 months ago.
And you do it daily, so it's a commitment.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's funny because in the beginning, the thing that put me off doing that was, well, I don't want to do something daily that will feel a bit like a job. But then the more I started, the more it came back, and again and again, I thought, well, you know, when you really want something and you want to change your life and you want to really change things, you have to sometimes just put the work in. And I knew I had to become a student of that book, because so many people that I was following on the internet talked about this book all the time, and it kept coming back and again and again. And I thought, well, I can do this hangout, and what if it's actually not a chore and a job, but actually something that I look forward to because it contributes to my day and it helps me keep moving forwards in the right direction. And that's exactly what it's done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I've been on a couple of those, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I must really get, because it's not just the it's Napoleon Hill, isn't it? It's not just Think and Grow Rich, doing books, and it's just the few times I've been on the call, it's just like, oh my goodness, he shares such value. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, really is an amazing book, because he interviewed over 500 entrepreneurs. So wow. It was really, you know, no other person has made that kind of book ever since. So, you know, it's a real special, even though it was written 100 years ago, it's so relevant today. And
just to share with everybody, so that your Google Hangout, it's going over, which book is it again?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Grow Rich, yeah.
It's called the Think and Grow Rich Daily Hangout, if anybody wants to join that.
Yes. So, Sandy, you've shared a bit, but what's your why? What's your passionate goal to achieve? What's your, you know, kind of, they say your why is going to make you cry. What's that thing that you're so, you know, you're determined to reach?
Yeah. Well, what makes my why is that I've always been interested in poverty. Sounds like a strange thing to be interested in, but I've always found it really strange how so many people live with like next to no money. And I even studied a master's degree in why there's poor countries, because I couldn't understand why, you know, taking it beyond the individuals, why we have countries that are really rich and other countries that the children are dying and have stomachs bloated because they don't have enough food. And so throughout my whole 20s, I was an activist, and I campaigned for Oxfam, a big UK charity. I went on the streets, I collected money, I did like Make Poverty History. I was part of the was an activist for that. Wrote about fair trade, and it was all I would think about, to be honest. And then I ended up doing women's rights lobbying, linked to that. And so what happened was that when I was 27, I got very ill, and various illnesses all at the same time, and it was really strange. I felt like something was telling me a message, you know, like it wasn't just a coincidence that all this disease was in my body at the same time. And so I stepped away from all of it. I took about a month to sort of, get the new person, or like they had to get several different people to take over my jobs. But I walked away from it all, and from a quite a high-profile job, and just sort of sat around thinking for 3 months and thinking, well, what should I actually do here? Because I feel like the world needs to be different, but what I'm doing, I don't think that's helping, because it's making me so ill. And I just felt like something was off. And what I realized is that what you focus on expands, and that I was always putting my energy and getting other people, and this was the key part, getting other people to put their energy on the problems all the time, you know, like getting them to sign petitions, getting them to read articles and reports and watch videos and hassle their MP and their politician, or their councillor in their local town. And so I decided to do something completely different, and this story will explain what my why is. But and as I said before, I sort of went into fitness and dance teaching instead. But what I realized was that I just wasn't having, you know, I was making people happy, but they were still living in that same system. Like many of my students were women, and they were coming to my classes straight from work, and they were tired, and I could see it in their faces. And I'd ask them, how are you? And they'd be like, I can't wait for Friday, or I can't wait for the weekend, or I can't wait for my holidays. And I felt like what I was doing with the Zumba class was like a Band-Aid solution, you know, the Americans say. Like, it was, they'd come and feel good for, oh, are you there, Helen?
Yep, can still hear you.
Oh, okay, you froze, so I wondered if my connection had frozen. Yeah, I felt like I was just giving a short Band-Aid solution, and I just kept asking the universe to guide me, to help me find something that would be more, that would have more of an impact. And so my why is I would like to help change the poverty consciousness on this planet, and to help create a world where young people don't grow up thinking it's going to be normal for them to be worrying all the time about money, or to never really be able to just go and do things they'd really like, and to always be living in this kind of box, you know, that I see so many people living in. And I travel quite a lot, so I meet lots of different people, and I just see it over and over and again, like no matter what country or city you're in, like this, like the Matrix, I think of it. So my why is that, you know, I had a really big moment where I have a 19-year-old cousin, a French cousin, and I saw him last summer for a lunch, and him and his girlfriend were on holiday, and they were about to go back to their town that weekend. And I said, "Oh, are you looking forward to the weekend?" And they both, like, their faces dropped, and they looked like I just asked if they'd seen a dead person. And then I said, "Oh, what's wrong?" And they said, "Oh, we don't want to go back because on Monday we've got to go back to work." And they were so, like, down and depressed, and it made me really sad, because this was my cousin who's 19, and I know people who are like that in their 60, and I could just see his whole life flashing out before him. So I want to be someone that young people can go, there's that girl that started with nothing and became rich on the internet and helped loads of people do it too. and just like to just inspire more people than I can even comprehend. That's my why.
Wonderful. That's amazing. It's interesting you say, because we do tend to, so true, we do tend to focus on the problem. We tend to go over and over our mind instead of focus on solution and asking, No, what's the solution? We tend to focus on the problem, which just brings about more of the problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I'm sure, as everybody has, I'm sure you've had times where you've just thought, oh, I'm just so frustrated here, and you wanted to give up. What's inspired you to keep going?
Um, I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. You know, like when I first started, I didn't actually realize I didn't know much about the internet, but I started to listen to these weekly calls, like Empower Hour, it's called, on Monday nights. I began listening to these calls, and I remember literally like sitting there, like slightly, like looking a bit aghast, like surprised. I felt like Alice who tumbled down the rabbit hole. I kept hearing all these stories of people that were traveling and working from their laptops and that were able to go and, like, volunteer in an orphanage for a whole month, and who who weren't worried about money all the time, and who were helping so many other people to not live like that. And when I just felt like someone was shining a light in a very dark room, and and it just when I saw that light, it sounds cheesy, but that's just literally the best way I can describe it, and it even makes me teary-eyed to remember. Um, and I still feel like that now. I have not like arrived or anything. I've had some success, but I'm just starting really, and I just know I can just see what's possible, and until I get there, or until and it's not like one destination, but until I'm just this is what I want to do. There's just nothing else I want to do, and I felt like that for the last year now. It took about 6 months to get to that point, but whenever I did have those moments, and I've definitely had loads of them actually, when I've just felt like, oh, is this going to work? Is this really what I should be doing? And I had loads of strange things, from having spent a long time in the not-for-profit sector to be in a marketing industry has been such a culture shock. And sometimes I felt like this is just too much. I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should go back to charity work. And then what keeps me going is I have a note in my Evernote. I use Evernote, this little free app you can download. It's really good, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know that. And I have it. It's called Philosophy, this note, and there's a passage that I've put there from Wallace Wattles in his book, The Science of Getting Rich. And he has a passage where he talks about, if you care about poverty and you don't, the way to cure poverty is not to do charity work. It's to become rich and to put the image of wealth in the minds of the poor. And that always inspires me so much, because I think I've come really close to stopping a couple of times. And what's so interesting is that I'd say I've come close probably 3 times, when I've literally been at the point where I just don't, I can't see that light anymore. And then something would always happen, like I would get a new breakthrough in my business, like a new member would join, or 2 members would join, or I'd make a sale. And the last time actually that happened, I also had this, it felt like a download of information. Like I was seriously walking along thinking, I think I'm just going to start up a not-for-profit organization, my own one, and forget the whole marketing thing, because I'm just not sure this is what I'm actually supposed to be doing. And I was walking and thinking about it, and then when I got home, just all this information streamed into my head about how I could create so much more change in the world by becoming incredibly wealthy, and doing that I would be able to create about 10 times more change than if I went through the route I had initially thought of, which was start an organization, try and get funding, try and get money from people, and hopefully do some good along the way. And so since that moment in particular, I've been like a dog with a bone. I just know that's where I'm going, and that's possible for all of us watching this. I don't have any special claim to that, or special powers. That's just my choice, and I know it's possible. And I had a similar moment with as a campaigner, because I was actually part of a campaign that changed British law in less than 3 years. We did it with nothing more really than a laptop and a bicycle and a lot of like hard work. And when I started that campaign, I was the lobbyist for the campaign. I had to go and like do all the press work and talk to politicians. And people said to me, why are you doing this job? Because the organization at the time was tiny. Their website was horrible. They had no credibility. People thought they were a bit crazy. And my family told me not to take the job. And people thought it was a bit strange to work for them. But I could see that they were going to go far. And I felt good about what they were doing. And I just had a vision of myself doing the work and of us doing amazing things, and that's exactly what happened. So I've had a similar vision with Empower. I just can see, the leadership of the company is so in line with what I have, this whole thing about poverty and being able to actually change it. You know, it sounds weird that an internet company could do that, but I honestly feel like there's a film called In Time with Justin Timberlake, and it's a really good film, actually. I highly recommend it. It came out about 2 years ago, and it's a science fiction film, and it's all about this world where people where people have to work for time. They literally have like these machines in their arms that give, and they give, each person gets an allocation of time when they're born, and before it runs out, you have to get a job so that you get more time. Otherwise, you'll just die. And everyone's used to the system, and they're all working in it. And the main character loses someone very close to him because she misses a bus connection, and she can't get to where she'll be paid in time, and her time runs out, and she dies. And eventually, he discovers, and I'm not giving any spoilers because this is all in the trailer, but basically the main character, Justin's character, meets a guy that his timer has like 10 million units of time on it. Most people that Justin know have like 24 units. And this guy has 10 million. And he's like, well, where did you get all that time from? And the guy says, well, where I'm from, everyone has this. And Justin's like, how is that possible? And he's like, because we have too much time. In fact, you know, people don't know what to do with it. They have stores of it. And he kills himself, and he gives the time to Justin. And the film, I won't go into more of it because that will give it away, but the film is basically such a brilliant metaphor for the money system. You know, like the way that so many of us spend our whole lives working to just make enough money to live. And I think that when you understand that there's infinite resources, you become like the guy that had the 10 million on his arm, and that can just rock, you know, change things for so many people because you just live a different way. And so I can't even remember how I got to that, but basically that's what I see is possible with the internet. You can actually become like that character and start to show people that you don't have to live like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you say, people have this wrong idea about money. They have this idea that rich people are selfish, but in fact, rich people actually help so many more people. It's just, yeah, people just have this idea. It's not cool. It's not, you know, and it's basically a found of people thinking, well, I don't want to be rich because, or they're either jealous because they don't have that money, or they kind of, they don't understand it. So yes, it's so true that being wealthy, you can help so many more people than not being.
Yeah, exactly. You can, you know, you can help a lot of people. You can do things like give massive tips to people that no one does because everyone's struggling, and you can like leave little trails of just a different way of living everywhere you go. And I've seen people being like that, and I just know I'm going to be one of them.
Yes, excellent, excellent. Now I know you talk about a few breakthroughs you've had, but I know you had one a few months ago, and I'm interested to know what happened, what changed. I think it was a few months ago. Was it happened or?
Yeah, I had a big breakthrough after about a year. So if you know, people watching this are just starting with their online, I don't know when you'll be seeing this, at what point in your online adventure, everyone watching, but I would just really urge you, and I know everyone says this, but I've like personally lived this, and it's just amazing to me because I remember being the person that would listen to this and be like, oh yeah, whatever, I can do it, yeah, but you've done it and I haven't, and I would just separate myself so much from people that had success. And what happened, what that changed that was actually two things. The first one was I went to a live event in January in Miami, an Empower event, and they talked a lot about vision there and freedom and not being afraid to have a big vision and to share it. And I'd actually had a big vision about 6 months before of what I wanted to do with my business, which was to build an army of conscious, change makers that are wealthy, that can do stuff to help the planet with the money they have, as well as take care of themselves. But I never spoke about it because it seemed so kind of grandiose. And in that event, two things gave me a breakthrough. And the first one was the founder shared how when he was starting network marketing, there was a guy, a sponsor, well, not his sponsor, but like a big guy in his company, who would do a meeting very often, like once a week or once a month, and he would talk about his dream of having 100 millionaires in his team a year, and that people would hear that and think that this man was crazy. But Dave would say to them, "Watch him. I think he's going to do it." And this was like in the 80s or something, and I don't think Dave was hearing him in the 80s, but he'd been saying it for a long time by the time the founder had heard him say this. But like 12 years later, he did it. He created like 100, I'm not sure if it's millionaires, but like diamonds or something like that, like a huge income. I think it is million actually. So he actually did that. And then the founder, Dave Wood, said, and this is my vision for Empower.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I could feel that he meant it and that it would happen. And I was like, and the way that he was so confident that he could speak that into existence, even though it seems completely unrealistic to 99% of people, the way the sheer audacity of it really inspired me, and I couldn't stop thinking about that. And I just realized, wow, I'm a real wussy when it comes to like making targets and things, because I still had this doubt of myself, the doubt that I could actually make anything really happen money-wise. I knew I could make it happen with lots of other things, but money always seemed to feel like the one area that I would just fail at over and over. And the second breakthrough was that they talked about having a vision and how if you have like 5 people standing around and you throw them 5 balls from like any direction, if one person picks up a ball and starts running in one direction and the other person picks up a ball and runs in another direction, the 3 people that are left standing will follow the other 2 just because they'll feel like they need to follow someone. And they talked a lot about how most people don't share their vision and don't even have a vision, and that when you actually start to share yours, you'll start to sort of stand out, and you'll inspire other people who will want to share your vision. And then, if you're a true leader, you'll create leaders that then have their own vision and inspire their own leaders. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And I came home and I started to do this. I started to talk about this conscious army of wealthy change makers, and it was so uncomfortable to do that. I really felt like people would be like, "Well, who do you think you are?" But I did it anyway. I went out of my comfort zone, and my business doubled in like 2 weeks. I had like all these people join. I was making sales, and everything started to move again. And that's just continuously kept happening. And now I've recruited over about 20 people. Just had my biggest month on the internet. And I get asked, I'm being approached now by people every day about my business, which never used to happen. So, it was always me, like I always felt like I was annoying people talking about it. And now it's just amazing to me how it can change.
Wonderful. Well, it's interesting actually. I mean, that's just amazing. And I've noticed when I just went to Charlotte how, for me, the passion from Dave Wood and the whole kind of, the whole, everybody there, it's amazing being with all these people with the same philosophy as you who want to change the world. I just found that quite very empowering, just absolutely incredible that you could be amongst people and someone like Dave Wood who, just like you say yourself, it's hard to believe that, but he's actually so passionate about it, isn't he? And you can see when you see him on stage that he's really serious and really kind of cares about people.
Exactly. Yeah. and you can feel that. And I didn't feel that until I went to a live event. I didn't even really like him in the beginning. I would delete his emails before I even opened them because I just found him really arrogant. And it wasn't until I actually went to a live event in Chicago in well, it doesn't matter when, that I saw something different, and I just realized, hang on a minute, these are people that actually, they have a kindness about them that I think is quite rare, really, sometimes in the world, you know, especially people that are successful in business. Quite often it can go to their head, or they start putting on like one thing, they put on an image for people that people will like, but then behind the scenes you can sense that it's not like that, or
Yeah.
you even know it's not like that, you physically see that. And that's happened to me a couple of times, and I just felt like this is something different, you know, people here, this feels genuine, and I could feel that there was caring, and they genuinely wanted to do the things they said. And that just, I came home and I'd had trouble even getting money together to invest in the business, to be honest, you know. I didn't, I just felt like I couldn't create that money, and I came home and created it in a week because
Wow.
my whole mindset had changed. So when people say that mindset stuff, yeah, there's so much of it, it doesn't matter, I just don't agree. I believe it's the best thing you can do for yourself is to really have a look at what's going on in here, and to realize it's an ongoing process. It doesn't, you don't suddenly get like fixed and wow, you don't think poverty anymore. You don't think, you know, it's like an ongoing thing. You can always keep going bigger and bigger.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, other than Think and Grow Rich, what are your favorite books that you read, Sandy?
Yeah, well, The Science of Getting Rich is one of my favorite ones. It's so funny because I used to hate the word rich, and now all my favorite books have got the word rich in the title. It's really ironic. So The Science of Getting Rich. I love You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. I like to keep it on a theme here. And these books, I like them because they're all about, you know, it's not just about how to get rich and have tons of money in your bank account. It's actually about how to realize that you're a powerful person, and that you can, as one of my friends says, make shit happen. You know, whatever that is that you want to make happen. And that's a much more fun way to live life than to believe that you're just, you know, you just take things as they are and you're a victim of whatever happens the next day, which is how I used to feel. Um, I also love the book. Sorry, I have a plane going overhead. Um, this is actually a fiction book, but it's always on my bedside table because it's, to me, it's like my you know, some people have the Bible next to them when they sleep. I have Illusions by Richard Bach, a
Oh,
book
yeah.
from the 60s. Yeah, I love that book, and there's a really great passage in the beginning of it, which I sometimes read that whenever I'm having. I don't really have those moments anymore, but when I was having the moments where I felt like stopping. And it's interesting because even in those moments, and I think this could help people listening, even when I would have moments that I came really close to stopping, I always knew that I wouldn't, if that makes sense. There's always, I think, you always feel like there's a part of you that when it comes down to it, you won't actually quit. And I had to really like listen to that part. I was like, why do I feel like that? There's a reason for that, because my gut knows this is where I should go. Even if my mind sometimes, or if I just felt like overwhelmed by this energy of like impatience and frustration, there was always like this little spark that never got put out. And I just encourage everyone watching to like to look for that within wherever it is in you. Ask the universe to help you, because you'll find it. You know, I didn't sit on a cushion and or say any magic words, or like I just didn't want to give up on myself.
Absolutely.
And I still believe this now. To me, it felt like if I do anything, if I go back to a job or go back to having my own business, I'll always feel like I felt before, you know, like chasing time. I'll feel like those people in the film that I mentioned, and I just knew I didn't want to live like that anymore. And I don't want my children to feel like they have to live like that when I have them, or anyone I'm connected to. I want all young people that I know to be like, okay, well, even if my parents hate their life, Sandy loves her life. What is Sandy doing? How can I do what Sandy's doing? Or how can I do what Sandy's friends are doing? You know, like, I just want to be someone that people are happy they knew me. And that's kind of, yeah. Sorry,
That's
I'm
okay.
under a flight path at the moment, so so kind of interesting.
It's
So those
getting,
books really helped me develop that strength. And oh yeah, and I forgot, I kind of got off the point quickly, but with illusions, the passage in the very beginning of it, it's like a metaphor for everything I've just said. So that's beautiful. You have to go and read it.
I must get that. I've heard a bit about that book, but I haven't got it. I must get that book actually. It sounds very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, something that the passage basically says, and I'll just quickly share this because I think it will help build that strength for people. It talks about this river where there's like river creatures that live on the bed of the river, and they cling to the edge all the time, because if they don't cling, then they might get carried away by the current. So they're always clinging to the river edge. And one day, one of the river creatures says to the others, I've had enough of clinging. I'm always clinging. Like, this is so boring. I'd rather just die. Even if I get smashed on the rocks, I'm going to let go and just let the current take me. I'm not going to like cling to this river anymore. And the other river creatures were like, you're crazy. Don't do that. You'll die. Like, the current will smash you on the rocks. Like, there's no way you can do that. And this first creature is like, yeah, I know that, but I don't care. I'm just going to do it anyway because I'll die anyway. Like, living like this is like death to me. And so he let it go. He lets go of the river bed, and he does get smashed to the rocks. And they're all looking and they're like, oh my God, we told him not to do it, and this is exactly what we said. But then he like bounces on the rocks and like is smashed against them, but then he bounces up and the current does take him, and he starts floating down the river, and he's just like having the time of his life, like floating with the water. And the other creatures are like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? He's like the Messiah. And they start screaming after him, like, come and get us, like, save us, save us, Messiah. And he's like, I can't save you. You have to save yourselves. I can't save you. You have to let go. And they don't get it, and he just has to leave them. And I just think that's such a beautiful analogy for how I see a lot of people living around us. And so to me, I let go of the riverbed when I stopped teaching 6 days a week, and I trusted that I could build an internet business. And I'm not going to like, and I really feel that the universe has supported me. Like the current, they say the current will take you.
Yes.
It has, and it's not been, there's been ups and downs, but I have no regrets. Like I can feel that my world is getting bigger every single day because of what we're doing, because of what you're doing, Helen, what I'm doing, hangouts like this, like reading, just exposing yourself to a different way of thinking.
Absolutely. I can see it's getting dark there, Sandy. You're disappearing.
I know. I'm just going to turn on the light quickly. I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay.
Slightly better.
I won't keep much longer. So, is there anything that you would like to add, like to leave people with? Anything, any kind of Sandyism or anything you'd like to share with everybody before we go?
Yeah, just that even if you feel like, who's going to be interested in you, who would possibly want to learn from you, who could possibly get inspired by you, even if you feel like that, because I remember feeling like that so much, please take from my heart to yours the awareness that that you will inspire people, and people will want to learn from you. People will be interested in what you do, and the things that you need will come to you when you need them. Like that's just what I feel called to share, because I didn't feel like that when I started. And what's been one of the most beautiful things so far, because again, I'm not, I'm just going to be honest with people and say I'm not, on the, I've still got a bit of a way to go, but I've come a lot further than most people get, because a lot of people just stop after like 3 months or 2 weeks and barely sponsor even 2 people, let alone 20. Certainly never get up to like 10,000 views a month on their channel and making money and stuff. But when I started, that felt so far away, and I think to me, it's like when it feels like, to me, it felt like I was in a really big hole, and so to get to the top of the hole, you have to just keep climbing, but you will get to it. And I really know what it's like. I can still remember how it feels when you just feel like it's never going to change, and it's always been crap, so why would it suddenly get better? If you feel like that, please just keep going and ask the universe to support you, and magic things will happen.
That's fantastic, Sandy. That's absolutely fantastic. It's interesting. I'm looking at you going dark, and the sun's, come up with me. So you're in the.
That's so funny.
And that was very inspiring, Sandy. That was incredible.
And the other thing I would say to everyone watching is to work with Helen. Helen is I know, I can feel it in my bones that you've been. I've seen you around on Facebook for a while, and I saw you in Charlotte. I just know that you're one of those people that's not gonna let go of the bone either. And it's really important to find other people like that when you're doing this. So if you're thinking about starting something online, even if we have grandmas on our team who are blogging, and teenagers, like all ages can really do this, all levels of experience. And I think it's really important to find someone who has a kind heart and who is determined, because that's what I could sense in my sponsors when I joined. They hadn't got any success yet, but I sensed those things, and I went and I just did what they told me to do. So listen to Helen and start working with her if you're not already, and listen to what she's suggesting you do, and listen to what the other leaders are suggesting as well, because I find that really helps, like, to get a variety of sources of information and inspiration.
It's also important to connect with people you resonate with, as you say, Sandy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so sorry. It looks like I'm in a dark hole. Ironically, I'm talking about coming out and seeing the light as I sit here in the dark. Oh well.
I'll let you go, Sandy. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm just so glad I've got to spend this time with you and have a chat with you. It's been wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me and for interviewing me, Helen. I appreciate you doing that too. So
you're welcome,
have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Watch next week, by the way, people. Another broadcast next week.
Yeah.